Hello world, welcome back to Far Out State of the Game. College has low-key been a nightmare, but the game's doing well. Though I didn't do quite as much this month as I was hoping to. The research part of the roadmap is done, I've started working on graphical, but I have a few tweaks to the overall plan for the rest of the year. First of all, I likely won't be able to finish graphics to an extent I would like by 2026, but I am very determined to deliver on my promise and drop the Steam page by the end of this year. So the sanest decision here is to split the graphical update in two parts. First being the more basic stuff like animation and textures. Then after the Steam page is up, we move on to more fun things like shaders, particles, and all the hyper convoluted stuff we talked about last month. Second of all, since there isn't as much to show today, I'd like to keep this video a little tighter and feed some short form progress videos later into the month instead, since short form content is my main source of views anyway. That being said, let's look at the progress. First, on the research side of things, we have the item system. I landed on something similar to Terraria. That is, items on the ground get deleted after you restart the world, excluding the naturally generated ones, which now exist in form of sticks and rocks. Initially I was planning to have a third one, that being plant fibers, but decided that it makes more sense for them to have their own separate form, and maybe even require a certain invention to collect, which I kinda like because it creates the first defined steps of progression. Anyway, the next logical step is of course to make an inventory to store them in, and I know I said I want to replicate the Resident Evil inventory Tetris, but for my own sanity and for the sanity of the player, I figured a different approach might be better. So I landed on a complete polar opposite, a list-based inventory. Kind of like in Skyrim, but overall better organized and easier to navigate. I coded in a basic placeholder, it gets the job done, but it's nowhere near the full sketch I made. The final form will include a search bar, filters such as the resource type and item shape, a quick transfer button, a hotbar, a few tabs such as equipment, crafting, research, and a journal where all of your discoveries are neatly organized. Additionally, by hovering over items, you'll be able to favorite them to pin them on top of the inventory, as well as trash them or open the journal entry of that item. I feel like this might even be slightly better than the classic grid design, cause I'll be honest, I personally struggle with navigating those sometimes, but we'll see how it actually feels. Now let's look at the graphics. So far I've set up the bit of code responsible for animation, and made 2 out of I think 10 animations that I need. The 2 I've already made being idle and running, and the remaining 8 being jumping, falling, surface swimming, and underwater swimming, for both still and moving player sprites. Still a lot of work to be done here, but I think after this video is published, I'll focus on the textures first, cause staring at those blank squares is starting to give me an aneurysm. These 2 things are probably gonna be everything in the first part of graphical. Maybe some backgrounds as well if I have enough time, but I'll need to shift my focus to customizing the Steam page soon, which either right away or a little later will come with a per request beta branch, a bug report page, and a Kickstarter. And that's all for today though. Not too big of a video this month, but I'll keep you posted with short form content as promised. Also, we're officially a year into this. I wanna thank each and every one of you for supporting me and for keeping me committed. You changed the way I view game dev to the point where I can't even think of stopping. We're so locked in, Twin. Alright, bye bye!